we're just going to record and then I'm going to chop and change it.
Okay.
So today we were talking in grade 6 about social media and impact, cyber safety, all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And for me, I feel as though there's like 2 prongs of cyber safety. One of them is around kind of cyber bullying, at which point I can easily tackle. I'm knowledgeable on that. I can talk to that.
Yeah.
But what I can't talk to is social media kind of like cyber activity, more specifically social media and tracking and what that all looks like, what we need to know about it. It's like, so I've obviously, when we were at school, we got Facebook in what, year 11 or year 12?
Year 12, yeah.
Year 12. And then as things have progressed with our iPhones came out in our final year of school. And so we got, and then iPads and computers and MacBook Airs like this one, like they just, obviously devices have like exploded. And in our kind of, as we've kind of grown up with these apps, so we kind of grew up with, I would say the other 2 major social media platforms would be Snapchat and Instagram. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So I don't know enough about tracking and like, I guess, your cyber footprint and all of that kind of stuff to teach the kids about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Which is why I've asked you to chat about this. So
Subject matter expert,
with that
yes.
in mind, because because these kids obviously don't know you from bar of soap.
Yes.
This is Lindsay, my best mate. So could you just tell us about your job? So then it perhaps becomes a little bit clearer as to why I've asked you to like talk about this stuff.
Sure. So I work in digital marketing, primarily social media. So I work with brands to run ads essentially through primarily Facebook and Instagram, but also Snapchat, Tumblr, Pinterest, everything else.
Right. So
Google.
So companies hire you to make to run their social media platforms.
Yes.
And to also do ads for them.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so it's kind of like a 2-pronged thing.
Yes.
So it's a pretty sweet job because you get to run Instagram accounts for
That's quite good fun.
Yeah, right. Which I think a lot of these kids could be potentially interested.
Harder than it looks.
Yes,
Quite
I can
fun.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in order for you to do your job effectively, in the sense that you want your Facebook page and your Instagram page, let's say for Ben & Jerry's, they used to be a client of yours. So let's say you want people visiting those pages, you want people contacting you through those pages and all that kind of stuff. So in order to be effective, you need to track people on social media.
Yeah, essentially.
Have I kind of got that right? I don't know.
Well, yes and no. So there's 2 kind of ways to look at it.
This is actually going to become incredibly informative for me, knowing everything about your job.
Finally understand what I do. So one, those apps track that behaviour anyway. So I have a Facebook account. Facebook knows how old I am. Facebook knows who my friends are. Facebook knows where I live, knows what kind of things I'm interested in, what websites I visit, what other
Even though
pages
in
I
your
engage
bio
with.
you may not have mentioned any of that
No,
stuff.
of course not. So I've clicked on it, I've watched a video, I've done something.
Right.
I've engaged in a behaviour that says that I'm interested in this. I visit skincare websites, so I'll be served skincare ads, for example. There's also, then the flip side of that, me as a brand, if you visit my website, I can retarget you directly. So I can serve you an ad because I know that you've been on my website, or I know you've looked at my Facebook page or my Instagram account.
Okay, so, So for me, let's say, so I've been researching my holiday recently.
Yes.
And so because I've been going on to like Flight Centre or a particular hotel's website or whatever, in like Google Chrome or whatever, because I use my, because it's on my laptop, because it's on all of my things, I'm logged into something concurrently. Like because I never log out. I never log out of Instagram. I never log out of Facebook or Snapchat.
75% of people.
Right. So, and that's on my phone, but on my laptop, like I'm not logged into any of that stuff. But on my phone.
Anything, if you opened Facebook on your laptop, you'd be logged in.
Right.
And so it's still tracking. Even if you don't have Facebook open,
I would probably still be logged in.
Know, as the owner of that website, what your Facebook account is.
Yeah, right. So because I've been looking at all of those other websites, that's why because when I then open up Facebook or Insta,
you'll be served with ads.
There's ads from those hotels because they're tracking my online behaviour.
Yeah, but they also know that you've entered the dates of your holiday. They know what area you've said you're interested in. If you've looked at, they can track virtually everything. How many people are going.
It's kind of scary, right?
That's great.
So from
I
your
love it, but-
okay, so let's talk about it from your perspective. So
Yeah.
that's me as the individual, and I'm
Yeah.
just using Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook as
Mhm.
just like the average. Like I would
user.
say that unfortunately my social media use is greater than what I'd care to admit. I mean,
Yes.
it would be an hour a day, I would say.
Yep.
Just in my breaks, in my breaks,
The
or then at
average
night or
person
whatever.
opens Facebook 17 times a day.
It's insane.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot.
insane.
Yeah.
But I actually am at the point, like when I left my phone at work the other night, I was telling you, I found myself reaching for it and I didn't even have it there.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's kind of worrying. That's a whole nother conversation. But okay, so that's from me as the user.
Yes.
But from you on the other side.
So I don't know that your name, if you visit my website, I don't know your name is Lucy Barrett, but I can track that level of information about you. So the websites you go to, who your friends are, where you live, where you frequent. So I know where you work.
So I would be user XYZ, but you could then from that perspective, I'm user XYZ, but you would then be able to find out where I live, potentially my name, what I do for a job, who my friends are, and then presumably because you can find that, you can then track them through me.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It is. Well, I mean, it's great for me as a marketer, but for a user, yes, there's an exceptional amount of information. I remember once I went into a meeting with Facebook and they said, well, we used to say a stat that Facebook has 1 million points of data on every single user. And I went to a meeting with Facebook and they laughed and said it's a lot more than that.
1 million points of data about one user. Mm-hmm. So if I think about it, I've been on my kind of cyber footprint, because I'm saying that from when social media started.
Yeah, so 10 years ago.
So 10 years ago.
So you have 10 years of data.
Back catalogue. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about that idea of that it doesn't, like my activity doesn't get erased?
No.
Because, and the reason that, and I'm kind of shifting focus a little bit. Mm-hmm. So like I had no idea that I was so easily trackable, firstly.
Yeah.
So irrespective of, because I know that a lot of people don't use Snapchat because there's that like they can see your physical location. Whereas Instagram, unless you tag yourself there, then, and Facebook, then, you don't necessarily know where people are. So I know that people kind of, and I know that some kids don't use Snapchat or aren't allowed to use Snapchat because of that tracking thing. But that's about your physical location, but you're still being tracked. Like, full on tracked.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, okay. Bing! New piece of information learnt today.
Yep.
So that then kind of leads me into this whole idea of like the cyber footprint. Because everybody talks about and you always hear people that be wary of what you put online and like all that kind of stuff. And I know as a teacher, like I'm hyper aware because I am a bit of a, for want of a better expression, a public figure.
Yep.
So I'm very conscious of my students, my ex-students, parents, family members, because I'm taking care of something that they deem to be the most important thing in their life. So if they then find something on me, then that puts my career in jeopardy. Yes. So I'm hyper aware of what I do. I've got high safety, like, and so nobody can find me, but like everybody can find me. But then not only that, like, my social media content, I'm fairly like
above board.
I'm above board.
Yeah.
So like, because I think people think that like, all right, we've uploaded that picture. I'm not kind of like, all right with that, or I uploaded that comment, or I sent that message, or whatever it may be, and you kind of regret it. So we've all been there.
Sure.
We have all been there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not denying that for a second.
Go back, delete it. Right, it's gone. Nobody can see it. Not true.
No, not necessarily. So something like Google, for example, goes through and like trawls websites essentially. And the bigger the website, the more frequently it does that. So something like a Facebook or an Instagram, it probably has spiders that track things all the time. So you can essentially like cache websites without getting too into it. But basically something like Google records old versions of a website. So I can search for
like
something
Snapchat.
that doesn't...
So like it's like a snapshot of like a previous...
Exactly. So it doesn't necessarily... It's not there anymore, but there's a record of it. So there's sort of echoes of content even if you delete it, and it never really completely...
So let's say I upload something on Saturday, and then on Monday I'm like, do you know what? I actually think I need to take that down for whatever which reason.
Yeah.
There have been spiders for Google just going, taking pictures of stuff, even though my site's private.
Well, no, not if your site's private.
Right. So, but if I've tagged, let's say I put a hashtag to it or I put a location to it, that photo can still sometimes be found.
Yes, and look, it depends where you're posting it. It depends what platform it is. Some platforms, once you upload a photo to it, it belongs to them, so they can keep a record of it, even if you've deleted it.
Hang on. So, let's say I upload a picture to Tumblr.
Yes. I'm not 100% sure on the rules for Tumblr, but with a lot of smaller platforms, there are rules around if you upload a piece of content, then it belongs to them. And the
Content just for the sake
being
of
like a
photo or a video or words or something.
Yeah.
So Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, if we upload something, they don't own that content. That content we do.
Look, they don't, but it's a massive grey area.
Right.
Where you're agreeing to their terms and conditions when you upload it. So I know if I sign up to a new social media account, I'm not reading the terms and conditions. I don't know if you do.
No, it's like the Apple thing. Like you set up a new thing, it's like, do you agree? And it's, it's
Exactly.
as long as a thesis, if not longer. So you automatically
there's many terms and conditions around privacy. So some things are recorded, some things aren't. But my recommendation is always don't upload anything that you're not happy for your future employer or your grandma or someone to see. Because I know for me, so I work in tech, it's a bit different from being a teacher, but because everyone I work with is very tech savvy, my expectation is that before I'm ever offered a job, they're going to Google me. And it might be something that I uploaded to Twitter 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Did I use Twitter when? Like 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And even if I might have deleted it, it might still be a record of that in Google. So if they search for my name, that might still appear. And it might be really embarrassing for me.
Like you are a manager.
Mm-hmm.
You're a manager. You manage a team.
Yep.
You've got a number of people within that team. And this is within the social media world. Like we've spoken about your job. So like, let's say you have somebody who's applying for a job.
Yep.
Like, let's say you did find an embarrassing, and when I say embarrassing, I mean, we're not laughing at it. There's someone who has done something that they should be embarrassed by in a picture.
Yeah,
would that immediately
stop? Business values.
So you wouldn't interview that person?
No.
Like, not a chance?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 6 or 7 years ago?
Doesn't matter.
You just wouldn't do it?
Just wouldn't do it. I think it says a lot about someone's character, what they're willing to have out there on the internet. And some people feel a little bit brave
because it's actually
behind their phone or their computer because it's
actually, can we talk about that?
It. Yeah.
So you use the word brave. I think that's actually quite an interesting term to use because I think I'd probably say silly, but I guess you're right. It is brave. Why, would you use the word brave?
I mean, brave in the sense that it's easy to post something and not get the immediate ramifications. If I said something horrible to you, I have to sit here and look at you and see your reaction. Whereas it's easy to, if I went home and then I sent you a message being like, oh, your house was dirty, whatever, then I don't have to deal with the aftermath of that because I've sent it.
Yeah, it's kind of cowardly.
Exactly, it's completely cowardly.
And that's where we start, and this is where it's more my area, not to suggest that you haven't experienced it, but in terms of like what I have spoken to and can speak to is that whole content of cyberbullying and the fact that it's anonymous and it's targeted and it's vicious. And we've spoken about that with the kids, but I think for me... Can I just for one final thing, because it's completely revolutionised my, just this how long is this chat? 13-minute chat.
Yeah.
That it's changed how I am going to use social media. Because I never knew how long the footprint kind of lasted. And so I just want to break out that, expand on that whole idea of like uploading something that like your future employer or your mum or like anything like that, because what you were saying is that it's actually not what you uploaded that puts you off from interviewing that person who did something. It's the fact that they didn't even have like the foresight. It wasn't part of their thinking. So it was actually a testament towards their character.
Yeah.
And how they're going to work for you rather than anything else. And is that the same for like a comment? Like that still exists, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually one instance. So for one of our pages, it was Ben and Jerry's actually, and we had this one person that continually posted really racist comments.
Right.
And that same person then applied for a job where I worked, and we recognised them because they included a photo in their resume. Resume looked great. Cover letter was fantastic, and I just happened to read it, and I was like, well, absolutely not, because I actually know who that is.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because people just don't think about. Even like you're posting to a business page, but there are people that are behind that, and
yeah, hang on, because we've had this conversation before. So like,
Yeah.
so using we're still sticking with the Ben and Jerry's
Yeah.
situation, but like for Ben and Jerry's like Australia or whatever, you were
Mm.
managing that Instagram page for a while,
Yeah.
but you weren't the only one who could log into it.
no,
You had a
so there
team
would have
of
been
people.
12 of us that could access that at any given time.
Right.
So Ben and Jerry's Australia might follow someone who has their account on private, but that's 12 people who live in Melbourne
immediately
that
get
could
access
be
to it.
connected to that
That's
person.
insane.
So even though it's private, it's not really.
So because we all know it, like every now and then I get a request to follow
Mhm.
from like I got actually a request to follow by this really cool hotel,
Yeah.
which I actually really want to go and stay at.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh yeah, I don't mind if they follow
Yeah.
me.
But you don't know who's behind
Well, I
it.
haven't accepted it, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to now. But it's the valid point, right? Because what you're actually doing is you're actually giving 12 people access, like they're gaining access
Yeah.
to your page in
Yeah.
one fell swoop. Like
Yeah.
it's not even,
It's not the hotel lobby is not asking to request you. That is their social media team that's asking it, but
and that could be anybody.
it could be anyone.
Like it could be anyone. Like
Yeah.
it could be like in your team, you range from 20-year-old grads up to 35, 40,
Mhm.
50-year-old men and women.
Yeah.
Who could have access to somebody's
Yeah,
thing.
it could be connected to someone in your life or someone in your family or whatever. And it's actually amazing the connections that would come out of it.
Because that would be tracked as well, wouldn't it? I guess what I'm the point of me trying to sitting quite literally sitting
Yes.
down with you and talking about this is that we've got, we're in a world now where
Mhm.
every person that comes into it has social media.
Yeah.
Like as in that's a completely different existence to what we were experiencing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like a completely different thing. So what education needs to come around. Like we
Yeah.
need to educate for it and around it because I'm 27. I've been operating on Facebook for 10, 11 years because we were getting invited to 18ths on Facebook.
True.
So that's,
Oh, God.
oh yeah, that's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation. But I had no idea in my 10 years of use, and I consider myself fairly savvy.
You do
Like
all right.
with, thank you, compared to you, but with like hashtags
Mhm.
and tagging people and all that kind of stuff, I consider myself fairly savvy, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, no idea. And it's now making me think, right, out of the X amount of followers that I have, that's actually not the true number.
No.
And I actually don't know wholeheartedly who's accessing my page.
No. You don't.
And they could be taking my images and going off and doing whatever they want with them.
Mhm.
Because, and this is the final thing that I want to speak about, because I think a number of students feel, not that anybody said this to me,
Mhm.
but that by us as the teachers talking about their social media pages, we've invaded their privacy.
By talking about them.
By the fact that we're raising what they're doing online, we have invaded their privacy.
Okay, fair enough.
But my question is there such thing as privacy
No.
online?
No, and the thing to remember, and it's weird as a user, and I get that, but these platforms exist because they make a lot of money from advertisers like myself.
Yeah.
So those platforms...
So you're the devil.
Basically.
I'm joking.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Those platforms will get as much information from you as they can. Because me as a marketer, I can use that.
Well, I'm free, aren't I?
Where...
To a degree, like
Yeah.
you're like, as in, I'm offering up that information so readily.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't people capitalize or even exploit that information?
100%.
Like, it
So
would
they're
be
not-
dumb for them not to.
They're not asking you to tag... it's not a selfless thing if Facebook's like, oh, give us a little bit more information, but like tell your friends a little bit more about yourself. You're not telling your friends. You're telling the platform, which tells advertisers, and like there's a whole flow of information. So
Right.
everything that you're putting out into these social media platforms is tracked.
And followed.
Everything.
And it has-
Everything.
right. Mildly panicking.
Well,
No, but I think that it's important. It's important to know because we need to be. We're not condemning social media.
of course not. I use social media.
We love it.
Yeah.
You and I we regularly use it.
Yeah.
Daily, easily daily. Even like just an hour ago, I uploaded something.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not condemning it, but I think we've just all, and this is myself included, we've just got to be more savvy with it.
Exactly, and it's just being confident that every piece of information you're sharing on social media, because we all do it and that's fine, is things that are not going to come back to hurt you in any way.
Whether it be a picture or a comment or a like or a whatever.
Yeah.
We've just got to be more
it's
aware.
all searchable. Yeah.
Thank you for
Pleasure.
sitting down. One day you will come into the classroom
my
and
God,
have
I
this
hope
conversation
so.
live.
The
Who
dream.
knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? Well, if the kids have got any questions, or if any parents or whoever's got any questions, are you happy if I then
Of course. Send them through social media. I'm kidding.